episode 55 of the Tea and Possibilities podcast. I'm Nikki and this is a podcast all about knitting, crochet and making all the things here in northwest London. You can find me on Instagram at hippie_Nikki. I'm Nikki Hippie on Ravelry, and if you would like to join our group, you can search for Tea and Possibilities under the groups tab on Ravelry, and you will find our group right there. There will be a chatter thread for this episode, so if you have any questions or comments or anything you want to talk about, that is the place to do it, and I will put a link to that just down below, along with all the quick links that I always share in the information box below. If you do want slightly juicier show notes, please do follow the link to my blog and you will find them right there. As always, if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming back every episode. And if you're a new viewer, thank you for giving this podcast a shot. I really do appreciate it. Today's tea is in my old faithful knitting circle mug with lots of sheep in woolly jumpers, and it is Peppermint. It is a typical March day out. It is very grey, it is very windy. I think we're on Storm Gareth now. I know we had Storm Freya, and I think we're still in Storm Gareth at the moment. So I can see all the trees billowing about quite a lot. And I don't doubt that it's going to rain at some point. I'm supposed to be going out later, and I have put off my run till tomorrow in the hopes that it will be a little bit more conducive to wanting to go out, because at the moment I don't really want to go out in my running gear. But peppermint tea is fresh and spring-like, and it's bringing the energy that the weather is not. I'm turning into Amy Florence a little bit, aren't I? Maybe it's an English thing, we just talk about the weather, I don't know. But now let's get on to Whipped Up. Hold on to your hats, guys, there's a foe. I mean, I say that like it's this amazing thing. I've been away for an extra couple of weeks because I took my birthday weekend off. So, you know, you should expect a foe really when I've been away this long. Can you guess what the foe is? I bet you can. It's my second baby Vertebrae. This is the Baby Vertebrae by Kelly Van Niekerk, and it is knit out of Homespun House BFL sock in the puddle jumper colourway, and it is gorgeous and I love it. The first Baby Vertebrae I did was in DK, and it was in an acrylic, and I'm so glad to do this in a fingering weight and in a real wool. I think it will be much loved and will probably get a lot more wear because it's that little bit lighter. So I think it will probably last a little bit longer. Fingers crossed, because as we've established, I don't know about babies. I don't know how quickly they grow. I don't even know how big they are when they come out. So hopefully this will fit at some point. I have to say that I had no end of problems with the body ribbing. I talked about this on my first Baby Vertebrae. The first time I did it, I kind of rippled up the edges because I didn't pick up enough stitches. And I had similar problems this time round. It was a little bit of an arrogance thing. I knew I'd had that problem last time, and I was like, I know what I'm doing this time. I can get it right. I don't need to look at the video that I watched last time and you know, follow that. I know what I'm doing. I'm a professional. I'm sorry, Nikki. You were wrong. So wrong. Even more wrong than you were the first one you made. I, in my arrogance, picked it up while watching Merlin. If you have been following me on Instagram, you will know I have done a massive rewatch of the BBC series. Video coming on that, so watch this space. And I just didn't pick up enough stitches the whole way around, and it was kind of rippled. So I ripped it all out. And I tried it again. And it happened again. And I did it wrong again. Only I think I did it wrong only in part. So some bits were really good and some bits were not. And I did kind of look at it and go, I could probably block that out. But this is a gift, and I want it to be loved, and I want it to be an expression of the love I have for these two amazing people and the little one they've got on the way. I want to give them something that I had to like fudge. So I ripped it out again. What are we on now? Third? On the third time, I got this side absolutely perfect. It was spot on. I followed the video and I did the maths and I was really careful. Only there was a lot of stitches to pick up, and after I got around the neck, I kind of just went, oh, I know what I'm doing, and I just went for it, and yeah, so this side was very, very rippled and this side was perfect. So what I did was, thankfully I hadn't done the full body ribbing. I kind of did a little bit and then put it onto waste yarn and checked. So I pulled it all out, but because I knew this side was correct, I didn't pull out the picked up stitches on this side. So I knew where the issues started and I pulled out up to that point. I counted how many stitches I'd picked up on this side, and then I picked up the same on that side. Why I didn't do that in the first place, why I didn't check that I was picking up stitches on equal sides, equal number of stitches on each side, I don't know. I blame Merlin, because that's literally all I've been watching apart from Drag Race. So what we've learned here is that things like picking up need to be done with actual focus and real concentration, because otherwise you end up having to do body ribbing 4 times. But I say that and I say like, oh God, I've had to do it so many times, I'm so annoyed. But I am so, so glad that I pulled it out. Because look how lovely it is. It's so, I'm never sure where to, like, do I just drape it around my head? Like, what is the best way of showing you this? But look how lovely it is. Look how smooth and just cute and gorgeous it is. And I think this is going to make such a lovely gift, and I cannot wait to give it to her. And him, I suppose. I'm just so excited to give this because I think it will be well loved. And I'm going to have a couple of other bits and pieces in there, which I will talk about shortly. But I'm just happy with it. And I knew that I wouldn't be happy with it if I didn't correct it. So, correcting your mistakes for the win, guys. I do have some leftovers of the puddle jumper colourway, and it is in my little tin for my advent swap. I realise it's only March, but I left it quite late last year and I had to do all the weighing and the labelling and the wrapping all in one go, and it was wild, and I don't want to have to do that again. So what I'm doing is, as I have leftovers, I'm wrapping them up and getting them put to one side. So I just need to sit down and do that with puddle jumper, and I will hopefully have a few more finished objects soon so that I can start doing that with those as well. Now this is my only faux for this week, but I do have a few whips to share with you. First up, of course, is the never ending sock. I say never ending, you can see that I have made progress. I have done my heel flap, I've put my heel in, I've finished the gusset, and now I'm just going round and round and round. And this is, as always, using the vanilla sock formula by Meanwhile at the Castle. Their videos were amazing, and they were the ones that taught me how to knit socks. And this is in the Rock and String Creations Seaside Treasure colourway. And it's gorgeous, and I can't wait to have them finished. But mostly they live in my desk at work. I've stopped kind of carrying them back and forth to home and back, purely because I don't really knit on the tube. I've mentioned before that I commute at rush hour into central London, well, through central London. So I don't really have the space on the tube to do any knitting. So it just kind of lives in my drawer at work, and I work on it on my lunch breaks, and then I bring it home at the weekend to show you guys and to do a little bit on. So it'll get finished eventually, but it's just, you know, there, chugging away, chugging away. Something else I have been working on, and you will remember, well, maybe, I don't know if you will remember, but at the beginning of the year I talked about my Cozy Memories blanket and how I wanted to get a big chunk on it done this year, and I didn't only want to do the advent yarns on it, and I was going to finish the advent yarns, and I was going to do a colour a week, a square a week even, every Sunday, and it was going to get finished. I mean, I forgot I said that. Maybe you did too. Yes, I completely forgot about my Sunday resolution. I haven't done it, so I remembered this week. I basically had a really big tidy up, not really a tidy up, but like an organise of my space, so that everything has its place and everything makes sense, and it makes my life easy in the mornings and in the evenings when I get home. Just, you know, to save time, essentially. And in doing so, I came across my Cozy Squares blanket, where it was living, you know, I think it was living next to this basket at the end of my bed, and I'd just completely forgotten about it. And I had that moment of like, ooh, I said I was going to work on that. Oops. So I have done a few squares this week instead of just doing one. I've done maybe 4 or 5. I still haven't finished my Advent yarns, but hey, you know, I'm doing it. I'm getting there. Things are happening. But I just wanted to show you my progress. I had said that I wouldn't show you until I finished a row, but I've been working on this week, guys. Like, I've picked this up instead of other things, so I'm gonna show you. First things I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna tuck all the ends that I have not woven in into the back, so you don't have to look at them. So this is the row I am on at the moment. I finished this teal square this morning, and I think I was up to here, this green one here. So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've done 5. And I've got maybe about 10-ish more to finish that row. As soon as I finish this row, I am having a massive ends weaving session, and thereafter I will complete every square, including ends being woven in, because I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to air my dirty linen, because this is horrendous. There are so many ends, and I just look at it and I don't want to have to deal with it, because I know it's going to take forever, but I'm going to do it because it needs doing, and the only other option is that I leave it till the end, and that would be even worse. So do it now, get in a good habit. That is my plan. I'm just going to have a little look in my bag. I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more to go. So by the time I finish this row, I will have used up all my Advent yarns, and I can start digging into my minis stash. Am I going to keep doing this every Sunday? I think so. I'm not always here every weekend. Sometimes I go away. Sometimes I do other things. Sometimes I go for long runs and I don't want to do anything. I'm good for nothing apart from sitting in a bath and reading a book, if that. But I'm going to try and do a little bit of work on it every month, every week, just so it keeps chugging along. So it's not just, I don't pick it up at the end of the year and go, wait, what? How many stitches? What do I do? Do I decrease on the front or the back, or what do I do? I want it to just be ticking away. I then also want to pick up my crochet stripes blanket. I always want to say blanket, and I don't know why. I don't know why. It's like a tongue twister for me. Cozy stripes blanket, which I haven't touched for a while because I'm working on a magic ball of my Advent yarns, and I'm a little bit finicky in that I want them to go into this in the same order they've gone into this. So I've turned them into a ball as I go, and then what I need to do is like rewind the ball so that the last one that's gone on will be in the center and will be the last stripe in the blanket. This sounds bonkers, and I realise as I say it that all I should have done was put the leftovers to one side and then made them into a magic ball in one go, rather than winding them and then unwinding and rewinding. That's just creating work, but that's not what I did. And I'm going to just embrace that, and I'm going to go with it. So yeah, I'm really hoping that I can pick that up soon, because when I am kind of worn out from a long run, or work is kind of super busy at the moment and I'm just feeling a little bit empty when I get home, the crochet stripes is a really good one to reach for, because I don't really have to think. There is a certain amount of thought that has to go into the cozy squares, because I have to decrease, but crocheting back and forth, I can do that. I do have one more whip to show you, and I am kind of excited to show you this because I did it, guys. I did it. I cast on the sleeve of my Pavement. I'm so happy. This is so ridiculous. I realised, I think I mentioned in the last episode, that the reason I hadn't cast on the sleeve for my Pavement is that I needed to wind the skein into a ball. And I hate winding skeins. It drives me up the wall. I've got a Swift, but I still have to hand wind it off the Swift. And it's just long, and I didn't want to do it. And I had all these other projects that were just there and ready to go, so why do I want to do that? But I knew that the only way this was going to get finished was if I wound the yarn. So, before I go any further, this is the Pavement jumper by Vera Valimaki, and I am knitting it out of Stranded Dyeworks. It was her Oasis base, but is now her merino nylon base. I think that's all she's calling it, merino nylon, and it's in Industrial Kingfisher. And for the longest time I had the body finished. As you can see, it's got kind of a blue mild sweatshirty kind of finish, and it was just waiting on sleeves, and they're not even full sleeves, they're not full length, they're like half, I think they're like elbow-ish. And I've started it, I've picked it up. I was really grateful for all of your tips and tricks about picking up sleeves, and I've actually picked this up and I'm really happy with it. I'm looking again at the armpit, which is a ridiculous thing to say, but I'm looking again at the armpit and I'm really happy with how it looks, and I feel really good about that. I think it's going to be fine. I don't think I'm going to have to unpick this sleeve. So, I mean, where's some wood? This is wood. Touch wood. It seems like first time lucky on this. It's like the tiniest sleeve in the world. I've done maybe an inch, and I need to do a bit more before I start doing the decreases. I think there are decreases, but I have a sleeve. And it's a bit chunky to take to work for lunch, so I'm going to kind of make this my at-home watching TV in the evenings chill out knitting, because it's just round and round and round. It might as well be a sock at this point. So fingers crossed, next time I see you I will have, whisper it, one sleeve done, which means I will only have one more sleeve to do, which means I could have a jumper finish this year. Now, don't hold your breath, don't put any bets on, because we all know what I'm like for garment knitting on a big scale. So I want to get better at it. I am trying. I really do want to make myself a mama vertebrae, because that cardigan looks really cozy. Actually, I mentioned before that the colorways are quite similar, so I'm just going to hold them up, because when you see them separately they look like they could be quite similar, but you can see they're not. The puddle jumper is a lot more gingery and kind of a lot more greyish blue, whereas this is a lot more turquoisey green. However, I think they match just enough that I can totally wear this when I visit the baby and twin. Probably I should donate this to the mother so the mother can twin with the baby, but no. Auntie Nikki will be twinning with the baby in this outfit. It's going to happen. So that's all we've got for works in progress, but I do want to kind of let you know what's coming up, because when I was doing my big organise, I went through my stash drawers in the bottom of my bookcase, and I actually pulled some stuff together because I want to cast them on fairly soon. I've got them just in here, so I will grab it. It's living in my little grey girl pyramid time for tea bag, which I love. And I don't think I've ever actively used this. I've just kind of had it as a thing that I love. But it would definitely make a really good sock project bag. But for the time being, it has something else in here. It has the leftovers from 2 Colour Affection shawls. This is, they're both stranded Dyeworks, but this was custom dyed by Amy for me, and is the colour I used in my mum's, which was like a beachy kind of look. And this is First Frost, and was the one I used in my one, which I did in Naive Watercolour, First Frost and Pinata, so it was blue, grey and pink. And these are going to be another baby knit. They are going to be the Miniselbus by Tina Hoagland. I believe it's Hoagland. And I think that that is going to be gorgeous. I'm not really into like gendered stuff for babies, so I just think these look really pretty together, and I think that they would make a really good contrast. Should knit up fairly quickly, so hopefully I'll have those done pretty soon. I just need to look out the right size needles. As soon as I've done the little mittens, I would like to use the leftovers from my adult sized Selbu mittens to make a couple of hats. I have got the orange and the grey. It was the Knitting Swede Spartan DK, and the orange was Samarkand and the grey was London Fog. And I've got enough of each, I think, to make a hat out of each if I do the Garter ear flap hat by Pearl Soho. And again, it's a really little thing. I'll be able to finish them fairly quickly. So as soon as I've done with that, they will probably be going in here. So that's what's coming up, more baby knits, purely because they are so quick and so easy, and I get this real thrill from getting things finished, which if only I could translate into larger objects. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about stash. Again, I talked about this in Knit and Natter a couple of episodes ago, I think. and I talked about my love for having a small stash and wanting mostly to knit out of stash this year. I'm not really going to any fibre festivals. I'm not going to Edinburgh Yarn Festival. It's a little bit of a trek, and as I said, it's quite a busy time at work, so I can't really take the time off. I could, but it would just make my life really stressful, so I'm not going to. And I have no plans to go to any other festivals this year, apart from probably Fibre East, because it's fairly easy to get to and it's quite nearby. Which is why I went to Unravel a couple of weeks ago. I had a great time at Unravel. I started really late in the day because I had a massive lie-in, which was great. And so I went quite late, and it was really, really quiet compared to last year, which was lovely because last year was really warm. My most abiding memory of Unravel last year was how hot I got in there. So I was really glad that this year it was a little bit emptier and I didn't get quite so hot. I knew that I was going to buy something at Unravel because ultimately I go to Unravel to see people. It was great to see, I saw Ellie of Skein-Deer, I saw Hannah of Corner of Craft, I saw Caroline of Dundonit, I saw my lovely friend Amy of Stranded Dyeworks, and I saw some people that I used to work with, which was wonderful, and I also met a few podcast viewers, which was fantastic as well. And I go there for that, for the social aspect, but I do go to look at yarn. And I go there knowing I will be buying yarn. And I kind of told myself this year, if I go to a Fibre Festival, I'm going to buy yarn, it's fine, as long as I'm not buying loads online and stuff like that. So time to show you what I got. One thing that I got that isn't stash and is actually like a thing I genuinely needed, I had to get it. Who doesn't need a tote bag? Tote bags are always, always useful, and this is a really sturdy one. I think I got it from the Sue Stratford stand. If I can find it online, I will link to it, but it just says knitting and gin, which is very very accurate, because last night I did have several gin and tonics while seeing No Such Thing as a Fish live with a friend. I would love to get this with knitting and red wine and knitting and vodka, and that would complete my own personal trinity, but I love this. It gets a lot of use when I'm just out and about with friends. I just chuck my stuff in there. I use it as a handbag when it's not raining. Love it, put all my purchases in it, happy days. Now I was very good and I only got what I intended to get. There were two stalls that I knew that I wanted to buy from, and the first was Stranded Dyeworks because Amy was doing sock sets. And I love Amy's colourways, and my budget does not allow me to buy a lot of indie dyed yarn for making garments. But now that I'm a sock knitter, sock sets are my thing and I love them. I think they're gorgeous and they're a great way to buy something at an affordable price for me. So off I went, and I knew that these were the two that I wanted. This is in merino nylon, so it's a fantastic sock base, and this is Ice Skating Party and a violet little mini there. And this one is Circus Tent with a rust little mini. And I knew, I'd narrowed down from her Instagram the two colourways that I really wanted, and I knew I could only afford to get one, and Amy was an absolute babe and gave me one of them for free because it was my birthday. So she was like, one of these you can buy and one of them will be your birthday present. I'm going to call this one my birthday present because these are the nickiest colours ever. I think purple, blue and green are just me constantly all day long, and I love it. And I am definitely going to save this for the Summer of Socks cowl, whereas these are colours that I absolutely love to bits, but I would never necessarily wear. I mean, I'm looking at it now and it doesn't look too bad, but I don't know that they suit me. I mean, I'm blonde, do I want more yellow around my face? But I love them, and again, I will be saving these for the Summer of Socks cowl. I've already organised my Ravelry. I've organised my Ravelry queue to kind of match up sock patterns with sock yarn so that I can just hit the ground running come the Summer of Socks cowl. While I keep mentioning it, I'm just going to say I have had a few people contact me about prizes. I've already received a couple of prizes. I won't show them until nearer the time because I don't want them to get forgotten, and I'd love to show them all to you in one big go, but there are prizes coming. And if you are curious about how I organise my Ravelry and how I team up patterns and yarns, please let me know, because I can do a video on that. So if you're interested, I can do that. So that was my mini stranded haul. I am a big lover of stranded. I was before I ever knew Amy. Her colours really speak to me. I just love them. I think sometimes you just find a dyer that you love, and Amy is one of them. And I have made a complete and utter mess of that skein, but I am a lover of it. And just look at those rainbows. So pretty, so pretty. The other stall that I was really determined that I wanted to go and spend a lot of time in and potentially buy something from was Third Vault Yarns. And the reason for this is that last year at Fibre East was the first time I'd seen Third Vault Yarns in person, and I fell in love with like 4 or 5 skeins. And unfortunately that was right at the beginning, and then the yarn fumes got to me, and I ended up going around and buying other things and ran out of budget. And then at the end of the day was like, oh, I didn't get anything from Third Vault Yarns. So I was really disappointed. So I knew that this time round I really wanted to go and visit that stall. And here it is. Isn't it beautiful? Now there is a bit of a story to this skein. This is, as I said, Third Vault Yarns, and it is the Companion 4-ply, which is 100% superwash merino, and it's in the colourway Binti. And I was drawn to this, and when I clocked the name of this, I asked Lola, who's the owner of Third Vault Yarns, is this to do with the book Binti? And she said yes, it's to do with the trilogy. And first of all, I was shocked because I'd been reading Binti on the train there. I had finished it actually on the train to Unravel. And also I was shocked because I didn't know it was a trilogy. I was really annoyed that it was really short and I wanted more, and then I found out it was a trilogy, so obviously that's the first thing I did on the train back. I will be talking more about that in Here Be Spoilers, so do hold on for that. So I was just so excited to receive this. It felt like I absolutely needed this. This was meant to be. I also had an amazing chat with the girls on the Third Vault Yarn stand about geekery, general geekery. We talked a lot about Buffy and Angel and Doctor Who, and it was just amazing. It's so nice to meet people who take it as seriously as I do and have high expectations of things like that. That was great. I really enjoyed that, but that's probably for me to talk about in Here Be Spoilers. But that's my little Unravel haul. I am delighted with it. As I said, I do have plans for pretty much all of these. I'm thinking these will be the Rose Hip Socks by Yarnia Designs. This one, the orange, will probably be I Love Pumpkin Spice by Cece Arman of the Geeky Girls. And I really want to do something special with this. Something sci-fi, something geeky. So if you know of any great patterns that you think would look beautiful in this colourway and have that kind of little spacey, sciencey, sci-fi kind of look, please let me know and I will get them queued up. The Summer of Socks Cal is coming. I'm so excited for this cow. I wish I could start it right now, but I'm looking out the window and it is most definitely not summer. So that's stash for you. So as I keep mentioning it, let's move on to Here Be Spoilers. There hasn't been a Here Be Spoilers in a very long time, and that is a combination of things. The first is that it's that time of year when I really struggle to get enough light, so I tend to kind of try to keep the podcast a bit shorter so that it doesn't get progressively darker by the end. And also because I have been doing a lot of work-based reading. So I've pretty much read nothing until the last couple of weeks that wasn't about history of the Second World War and the First World War. So now that I've kind of done the bulk of the reading that I need to do, I still need to do more. There's always more to find out, more to learn. I can now actually turn to my own reading. Now, I kind of wanted something a bit light after all of that kind of intense history reading that I'd been doing, and I had a recommendation at the beginning of the year from Kalisha, who is Nadira Tani on Instagram and has the Quirky Monday podcast on YouTube. Quirky Monday, I should say, not Monday. And she recommended a book called Binti. This is by Nnedi Okorafor and is fantastic, and you should download it immediately. It's available on Kindle, it's super reasonably priced, it's not very long at all, which is kind of a con for me because I really enjoyed it. And what I loved about it is that it was sci-fi, tick, you know, I love my sci-fi, but it wasn't westernized. So something that I have been noticing over the last few months, particularly when I was binging Discovery not so long after kind of watching all of Voyager, Star Trek, that should be Star Trek Discovery and Star Trek Voyager, it just looks too much like what I know from my own culture and my own society. One thing that I've always kind of struggled with sci-fi and have felt quite glaring is that these things tend to be set either on an alien planet or several hundred years or potentially thousands of years into the future. And yet the culture and everything that I see on screen is super familiar for me. Why is it so recognisably the world I live in? Which I've always dismissed as, okay, well maybe the writers felt that would be too complicated to share. And the audience would have had to have done too much work to learn about what was going on. But I've always kind of felt that was a cop-out, and it has always felt very glaring to me because, you know, the world I live in now is very different to London in the 1700s, so it bemuses me that life on a spaceship in the year 2300 looks like my life now. And that is why I loved Binti. So Binti is a sci-fi. It's set several hundred years into the future. There is a lot going on there that you as the reader do have to do the work. She doesn't spoon feed you at all. She doesn't go, there's this thing and this is what it is and this is what it does. She expects you, she shows you and expects you to work it out for yourself and put the pieces together, which I really enjoy. I really rate that. I think that's excellent writing because by the end of the book I understood what was going on completely. But my big kind of tick for this book was the fact that Binti came from the Himba, which is a tribe in Africa, and you learn about how that has developed and how that community has grown in the hundreds of years from now, and the things they have picked up in new science and the things they've held on to as part of their tradition and part of their core values. And I loved it because Binti goes out there and she meets other people, all of whom have their own culture, whether they be an alien or someone from another part of planet Earth. And I thought that was fantastic. And why is that not happening more? That is just brilliant. And that is why I was so happy to find this skein of yarn called Binti. And that's why I was so excited to hear that it is a trilogy. I have downloaded the other two. I haven't started them yet, but I will be very soon because I want to know what happens. But I massively recommend it because A, it's very well written and the characters are great. B, it is different. It is so different and it is so refreshing for that. And lastly, it's very quick to read. This is actually kind of a con for me because I enjoyed it so much and I really wanted to find out more, which is why I'm happy there's two more, but I would like all three of them to be like at least twice the length. So, and that's the kind of the most high praise that I can give, that I wanted it to be longer. And it also led me to go and do some reading around the Himba culture because it was not one that I was familiar with, and I was curious to see how much of it was based in fact and how much of it was developed because it was several hundred years later. And it was fascinating, and I really enjoy reading books that are not so self-contained, that make me go and look up something that happened in history because it's mentioned in this book, or another culture because it's mentioned in this book. For me, story should always be a door and not a closed room. There's been many books that I have read that are safe and cozy and keep me inside and just hold me in that space, and that's great, and sometimes there is real value in that. When I'm very down, I will reach for those kinds of books. But what I really love and what helps me develop and learn more as a person is if I read something that doesn't spoon feed me every little detail or isn't exactly the life that I lead and therefore makes me go, I don't know anything about that, I'm going to go and read more about it. And that's what I think the power of story is. My plan is to finish the trilogy, the Binti trilogy. I will link to them down below so you can go and download them. And then I am going to be picking up some non-fiction books about gender and race and feminism. The reason I want to read about this is because I want to learn more, because that is outside of my experience, and in order to be understanding and empathetic to other people's experience, I have to learn more, and that's on me. I do love learning through fiction, so I am going to start with non-fiction, but if you do know of any books where the protagonists are transgender or black, indigenous, or a person of colour, or have neurodiversity, that would be fantastic, because I'm just going to learn more and I want to diversify what I'm reading, and I'm really committed to that. And Binti was such a great recommendation. Thank you so much, Kalisha. So I definitely love recommendations. And obviously anything I love, anything I find that's really, really good and a juicy read, I will share with you here. But now let's move on to Knit and Natter. I'm going to keep Knit and Natter brief this week because I am aware that I have nattered on quite a lot already. But I wanted to let you know what I did for my birthday, and I also wanted to give you a little update on my running, because that is, my first race is coming up fairly quickly. So for my birthday, I took the Friday and the Monday off because my birthday was on the Saturday, and on the Friday I ran 10 miles. I still can't believe I did it. I've got to run 12 tomorrow, but I still can't believe I did it. And I'm so proud of myself because I didn't do it too slowly, actually. I did it in an okay time. So I'm feeling pretty good about this upcoming race. Ask me that tomorrow when I've done 12 miles. But I did a 10-mile run and it felt really good. And then I had lunch with my family, and then I went away for a day or so. I went to a lovely spa, which was near Highclere Castle. Unfortunately closed, so I couldn't go in and have a nose, but I did climb up a hill and get a really good view of it. It's massive. I don't understand how people keep that place going. It's humongous. It's like the biggest block of flats you ever saw. It's huge. So that was really fun. But the one really great thing about that week after my birthday was the fact that I had several donations come through, which I am fairly certain were podcast viewers, because they either came through anonymously or they were names that were not my friends and family. And I just wanted to say, particularly if you're an anonymous donor, so I don't even know who you are, but to anybody who donated some money to sponsor me, which will eventually go to the charity that I work for, to do these 2 half marathons, thank you. You are absolutely wonderful. You don't know me and you still did that, and it means a lot, and thank you so much. And I promise to bore you all to tears after the 7th of April. The next episode after that, I will tell you all about what I did and how my race went. And then I'll probably be quiet for a little while until I start babbling on about getting ready for the one in October. Not forgetting that marathon hike that I've got to do in the middle. So yes, there you go. That is kind of a general life update. I am now 32, and I'm hoping that 32 is the year where I run half marathons and get pretty fit and knit a jumper, finish a jumper, finish a jumper. I can cast them on till the cows come home. Finishing, this is where I have an issue. So that's my thing. That's my 32-year-old resolution, finish a jumper. But that's it for this week. I hope you have a lovely knitty couple of weeks. I will see you very soon for another cup of tea. But in the meantime, take care. Bye.